it now.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Good morning to you. This is a major Texas-sized win for President Trump, giving a last-minute endorsement to Texas's embattled Attorney General Ken Paxton, but allowing him to wallop the state's longtime Republican Senator John Cornyn, beating him by around 30 points in that runoff last night. A dramatic turn of events from the primary the two had in March. Trump branding Paxton, who tried to help him overturn the results of the 2020 election, a, quote, true MAGA warrior, and calling Cornyn now disloyal. It's now the fourth time in less than a month that the president has put his thumb on the scale in a primary to oust a Republican. Cornyn, though, was not disloyal to President Trump in the Senate and was largely supportive. Paxton, for his part, has had a series of scandals that he has survived, including a push from his own Texas Republicans to impeach him.
Yeah, that was all political, by the way, and he didn't have a Nazi tattoo on his chest. And like to pleasure himself in porta potties and disparage Purple Heart winners. So there is that. There is that. Hello, welcome to the show. What? Donald Trump has what? Now, let me see. Of all the races that he's endorsed and the candidates that he has endorsed, it's but a 100% success rate.
Races and Senate races. This is his scorecard, okay?
I'm not thinking Kamala Harris has such a good report card. I'm thinking she might be held back.
He has endorsed 8 governors. Now, some of these races weren't real close, didn't have a lot of competition, but some of them did. I mean, we saw what happened in Louisiana, the primary of Bill Cassidy. We saw what happened a week ago tonight with Tom Massey in Kentucky. And now we're seeing it again tonight, okay, in Texas. Governor level, Trump endorsed 8. Woo. He won 8 times. U.S.
30 points.
House 101 endorsed.
Points. Oh my
he
God.
Won. 101 endorsed in the House, and he won 101. Let me put on the pencil.
Yeah, that's batting 1,000.
Right here and show you this. U.S. Senate, Sean, he has endorsed.
Somebody call Megyn Kelly and say that MAGA is not dead.
Endorsed 8 candidates.
And I mean, honestly, how friggin' clueless do you have to be like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and Alex Jones saying that MAGA is dead? I mean, honestly, Tucker and Megyn are spoiled, entitled, effete, elite people. Alex Jones is just freaking nuts.
Prior to tonight, he had won 8 times. And now you can take the endorsement from 8.
Does this surprise any of you? No, it doesn't.
To 9 endorsed, and from 8 to 9.
Oh, yeah, what is that?
Winner.
What is that?
Ken Paxton was outspent 9-1.
9-1.
Got the endorsement from Trump, got the endorsement of Wesley Hunt, the congressman who got knocked out 2.5 months ago.
9-1.
And now we got the setup in Paxton of Tellerico. Many Republicans felt if John Cornyn could win tonight, that he could be an easy winner over Tellerico. We'll never know that now. And a lot of Republicans felt that they could save a lot of money too if Cornyn won. But that did not happen.
Yeah, see, that was all just fear-mongering, saying that only Cornyn could beat Tallarico. Are you frigging kidding me? He is going to be very easy to take down because he's nuts. He's nuts. Here's Jim Gossett as the president on the Rob Carson Show.
John Cornyn, the rhino, he got beat last night.
Yeah.
Defeated by Ken Paxton. It wasn't a fair fight.
Was 30
he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready for this. John Cornyn was surprised. His dirty deals with Democrats left him compromised.
He wanted Democrat votes. He did. He asked them to vote for him.
And another one bites the dust.
Bye.
Another rhino bites the dust. And another one's gone, and another one's gone. John Cornyn bit the dust.
Yeah, he did.
Just like Cassidy, John Cornyn bit the dust.
No, he ate a whole bowl of it. A big spoon and just dust.
Massey learned the hard way. Crossing me's not smart. His campaign for Congress, it got torn apart. Tom's an anti-Semite. It cost him in the end. Considers Ilhan Omar to be his closest friend. And another one bites the dust.
That's 100% of them. Bit the dust.
Another rhino bites the dust. And another one's gone, and another one's gone. Tom Massey bit the dust. Just like Cornyn did. Massey bit the dust.
And let no one try to fool you. The Democrat Party is freaked out about James Tallarico's possibility of winning in Texas. They've got the pollsters down there who obviously always say that the Democrat is going to win. But this guy is legit, like San Francisco kind of liberal, maybe even more extreme than that. And then, of course, you've got Graham Plattner in Maine, who is an absolutely despicable, awful, unlikable human being, kind of like a Karen Bass, but really, really disgusting. He goes after Purple Heart recipients. He says that women sometimes deserve to be raped. They invite rape. He likes to pleasure himself in porta potties. He's a communist, for God's sake. He served in our military, and he's a communist. Okay, and so that's what your Democrat Party has to offer. I mean, what a buffet of just insanity. Here's a new ad coming out from PAC with supporting, I should say, Ken Paxton about the candidate James Tallarico.
The Democrats have a weird candidate.
Yeah.
God is non-binary. There are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
Yeah, there's the male and the female. Then there's the super male and quadrangled female and the positive A, B female.
It's now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption. The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us. Prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness, my own masculinity. Our southern border should be like
your own masculinity. That was a good one.
Our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front. No need to sit and cry over, your whiteness or your masculinity. They're gonna call me a radical leftist.
Something that you love, that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children.
The Democrats have a weird candidate.
Yeah, just a little.
Low T Tallarico.
Low T.
Too weak for Texas.
Low T.
Lone Star Liberty PAC is
tell
responsible
ya.
for the content of this.
Wow, I didn't have low T until I turned like 55, and we're working on that. I play Metallica. That helps. It's kind of helped. And I bought a Bronco. Both of those things I consider to be testosterone replacement therapy, and they work quite well. Thank you very much. They work quite well. Oh my God, it's just so glorious. Here's Ken Paxton last night after he beat John Cornyn by 30 points. By 30 points, talking about his opponent.
My opponent is the most extreme radical the Democrats have ever nominated.
Yep.
He's even running a vegan campaign, whatever that is.
A vegan campaign. Yeah.
He goes by a few names that you may all have heard
What's
of.
that?
Some people know him as Tofu Tallarico.
I like that. That's
Some people call him Six-Gender Jimmy. I've even heard some people call him James Tallarico.
Yes.
And others refer to him simply as Low T Tallarico.
Yeah, honestly, if you want to put it in perspective, take this candidate. I don't know how people think that this guy can win in Texas. Take him to Alabama. See how that works. Do you suppose that he would win in Alabama? Do you suppose that he would win in Arkansas? Do you suppose he would win in Missouri as a vegan candidate who believes that God is non-binary and there are 6 sexes? Okay, all of those things spell one thing. Insanity. All right, if you believe any of those things, you're insane. If you would have dropped this guy in 10 years ago, you would have said he needs mental health counseling and possibly to go into some sort of an institution, because he's freaking insane. He's not just a man-child. He's not just a feminized soy boy man-child. He's legit out of his nut. He's out of his freaking nut. And I'm reading this piece here about CNN by Patrick Svit. And he's trying to defend Tallarico and try to say, oh, yeah, they'll call him a vegan and they'll call him Tallafrico, but don't believe him. No, do believe him. Do believe him. And honestly, little fluff pieces like this from CNN aren't going to take away from the fact the guy is a freak, by the way. In this article, it says the Democrat nominee, James Tallarico, Paxton said, would be the most radical U.S. senator in Texas, maybe the whole country ever. So I wanted to test a few nicknames. And of course, we just heard that. The food references, this back to the article, came from an already burgeoning Republican talking point that Tallarico is a vegan, and then this guy says, which he isn't. Really? Because that's not what he said a while back.
We have, I think, heard more and more issues of animal welfare. I think not just because it's the right thing to do and the moral thing to do, but also it's, as all of you know, necessary to fight climate change. It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption and that we try to respect animals in all aspects of society.
My God.
And so I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign. So
wow. I mean, super soy boy.
So we
wow.
We are.
Yeah, look at the massive applause in Texas from a vegan declaring his campaign to be vegan.
We are only buying vegan products from our.
Are they non-binary? I don't know what the hell that means.
Local vegan businesses. Some of you may know Big Nona's. They were little Nona's, and then they opened up brick and mortar, so another Big Nona's. But we just got our pizza from there today, and so.
What was on the pizza? I didn't even want to know what the hell was on the pizza.
The point is that I think all of us.
Probably some non-binary toppings.
Not just policymakers, but everyone has
non-meat pepperoni.
To take personal responsibility in this effort.
Oh my God in heaven! Wow, that's your candidate in Texas. No, honestly, I wish you the best of luck. I'm laughing as hard as I did when the Democrat Party made Kamala Harris the candidate, and I knew she would get stomped into the mud. And I was exactly right. There aren't enough unhinged nutbag Texans to elect somebody like this, and we're going to find out about this very soon. We got a lot on the plate today, kids. We're going to talk more about this primer last night. We got Fred Fleitz is going to join us to talk about Iran. We got Justine Murray from MRC Video to cover all sorts of other things that are happening in the news today. The number is 800-922-6680. Did I mention that Donald Trump is 100%? All of his endorsements have gone on to victory. Yeah, MAGA ain't going nowhere. In fact, it's just getting started. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
680 WCBM.
The Rob Carson Show podcast is everywhere. Go to newsmax.com/listen for details.
And finally, he's a threat to our very way of life and our values. I mean, he's a vegan who thinks God is non-binary and that there's actually 6 biological sexes. It's hard to imagine someone more radical than that.
Yeah, because if you say something like that out loud, it shows that you are unhinged from reality altogether. And he did say those things out loud. Absolutely. I mean, here's Jake Tapper trying to let him, clear up the insanity of his life.
National Republican Senate Committee is already highlighting comments that you've made as a state representative. For example, they're highlighting this.
God is both masculine and feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary.
What is your response to them using that, and explain what you were talking about?
Yeah, and what sort of psychoactive medications are you on?
Well, I understand that comment is a little provocative. I said it on the House floor.
Yeah, you said it out loud, and it was nuts. What you just said there was completely nuts.
When the extremists in the Republican legislature...
I'm thinking somebody who says God is non-binary is extreme.
We're picking on school kids.
Yeah, no, not school kids, just the ones that you want to transgenderize, mutilate them surgically so they're eunuchs for the rest of their life.
Who were different. But I don't think it's controversial theologically. Most Christians would acknowledge that God is beyond gender. In fact, the Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Galatians, said that in Christ,
he's quoting scripture now,
there is neither male nor female. And so if someone's got a problem with that statement, they shouldn't take it up with me. They should take it up with the Apostle Paul.
You're exactly right. The Bible says that there's no man or woman. There's no male or female. It's just there's 6 genders. Why, honestly, if God felt that way, why didn't God say there were 6 genders? It's just such a mess. I love it. I just friggin' love it. Rob Finnerty was, because Finnerty on Newsmax, he is... he's just very matter of fact. He's got a great sense of humor, and he tells it like it is. You're not going to find another show on TV like this. But here is Rob Finnerty's take on James Tallarico.
A 37-year-old single vegan pastor in training, whatever that is, who thinks the American flag is a complicated symbol for people in this country.
Yeah. There's that.
I often think when reclaiming symbols, I think about the American flag. I think the Confederate flag is a symbol of treason and terrorism. But the American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us. And in many ways,
not at all. No, not at all. We're quite proud of it. We usually, a lot of us have them in front of our houses, and we put up these little flags on the 4th of July and Memorial Day and stuff.
Jesus, like the cross, it's been co-opted and in some ways, its true meaning has been betrayed. So.
Look at that man right there. That is who Republicans have to beat in Texas in November. This walking, living, breathing parody of a Democrat candidate who doesn't see the irony in a Democrat from the South talking about the Confederate flag or slavery or reparations or Jim Crow, even though Democrats are responsible for all of that.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Or the fact that the 11 states that seceded from the Union in the early 1860s were all blue states at that time that were led by Democrats.
That's true,
Democrat governors, Democrat senators, not a single Republican. And all of these Democrats supported slavery.
Yeah, they did.
They even had their own Democrat president named Jefferson Davis.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
But James Tallarico, who is also a Democrat from the South, has no problem talking about any of that, unironically, because James Tallarico is insane.
There you go. Finnerty is a trip, man. I got to tell you. Fantastic. Here is Scott Jennings, old Scott Jennings over on CNN, an island of sanity and a sea of the insane, talking about the insanity of James Tallarico.
Tallarico is well-funded. Tallarico will continue to raise money, but it's interesting.
Totally electable. So was John Cornyn.
To me, that now Republicans have to worry about deep red Texas because they have a flawed candidate who does not know how to raise.
Ain't nowhere near as flawed as James Tallarico.
And you're now seeing that currently play out.
All these...
He's completely flawed up.
Analysis of this race is sort of the differences between what a Cornyn or a Paxton would look like here.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the differences between Tallarico and literally every other Texan.
Yes.
Don't know any Texans who believe in 6 genders
other
than Tallarico. Don't know any Texans who said it's immoral to eat meat.
That's true.
Other than Tallarico. Don't know any Texans who walk around saying things, God is non-binary. You all are both Texans. Do you know any other Texan who even talks like that? Issues aside, who says these things out loud?
No, nobody does.
When this gets adjudicated, all that money coming in from California.
Adjudicated for you Democrats doesn't mean going to school.
California and New York, it'll be well spent in Texas.
You know what I'm smelling, Scott? Fear.
Panic.
Fear? Raw, stinking panic.
Are you out of your nut? So there's this dimwit on the panel wearing a cowboy hat. I guess that's supposed to negate the fact that he's a complete and utter moron, who says that we're panicked about Tallarico. Do I sound panicked about James Tallarico? The more I know about James Tallarico, the more I put my hands behind my head like I'm sitting on a lounge chair in the swimming pool with my legs crossed. Are you freaking kidding me? You are out of your nut if you think that we're panicked about this guy. You have got to be kidding me. Here is a CNN. They did a report. They were asking Texas voters because Ken Paxton is a flawed candidate, a terribly flawed candidate. Unlike Graham Plattner, who's a Nazi who masturbates in public toilets.
Here at this event this evening about some of Senator Cornyn's arguments that Paxton's scandals could be a liability for Republicans come November. She is seen here wearing this MAGA, this Make Texas Great Again jacket, and she told me of these criticisms of Paxton's scandals, quote, "I'm not marrying him. He isn't my pastor. He isn't my spiritual advisor, but he's a very good attorney general." And that is a sentiment that we hear from a lot of Paxton supporters heading into this runoff. The big question is whether that is something that general election voters might be willing to overlook if he becomes a GOP nominee and faces off against Democratic nominee James Tallarico in November.
Yeah, I remember when, watching the first campaign for Donald Trump, and Billy Bush surreptitiously recorded that interview on the campaign bus. It should have never been recorded. That was a breach of trust, and he talked about grabbing a woman by the P word and all that, which was basically when you are in a position like that, being wealthy and whatever, you do attract a lot of women. That's true. That's just absolutely true. And everybody's thinking he's unelectable. I'm like, no, that's actually kind of how a lot of guys talk. I don't talk like that anymore. May have done that, been a little more braggadocious, even if I was fibbing when I was younger, but not so much. This stuff that Tallarico has got going for him, he has said out loud, it's going to be heard incessantly through November, and ultimately he's going to get defeated soundly. Let's take a break and come back, shall we? This is the Rob Carson Show. Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. I am sleeping better than I've ever slept in my entire life. I used to think a mattress was just furniture, but I got a Ghost Bed. Ghost Bed doesn't build mattresses like furniture. They build engineered sleep systems. Their beds are serious health equipment. Beds designed for relief and recovery, not looks. Your body should be healing while you sleep, not fighting for comfort. I noticed immediately. My first night on a Ghost Bed, I slept for 10 hours. If you're waking up stiff, tossing and turning, sleeping hot, even reaching for a pain reliever before bed, hoping tonight will be different, that's not aging. That's your mattress talking. Here's another thing I love about Ghost Bed. You get 101 nights to try it at home. If you don't like the difference, just send it back risk-free. Ghost Bed is currently having their Memorial Day sale plus an extra 10% off for my audience. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson and use promo code Carson. Ghostbed.com/Carson. Promo code Carson for the sleep of a lifetime.
John Cornyn, the rhino, he got beat last night, defeated by Ken Paxton. It wasn't a fair fight. He wasn't ready for this. John Cornyn was surprised. His dirty deals with Democrats left him compromised. And another one bites the dust. Another rhino bites the dust. and another one's gone, and another one's gone. John Cornyn bit the dust, just like Cassidy. John Cornyn bit the dust. Massey learned the hard way. Crossing me's not smart. His campaign for Congress, it got torn apart. Tom's an anti-Semite. It cost him in the end. Considers Ilhan Omar to be his closest friend. And another one bites the dust. Another rhino bites the dust. And another one's gone, and another one's gone. Tom Massey bit the dust, just like Cornyn did. Massey bit the dust.
Stephen Colbert is off the air. His ratings were so low. Millions lost by CBS. Did not deserve a show. Nobody watched last episode. Viewers told him to hit the road. Stephen Colbert no longer there. To liberals, such a blow. Fired Kimmel, Jon Stewart can air something funny, should be the plan. Colbert is gone, finally. No one could stand that man.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
The simple fact is, I don't think he's going to be able to do it because he is simply not a good enough candidate to pull anything across the finish line.
This is Ben Domenech talking about James Tallarico, who's probably too insanely left to win in San Francisco.
At the same time, I will say, this is going to be a much more expensive race. It's going to be something that's going to, draw a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going to be the most expensive Senate race that we've ever seen, and that's going to be something that's going to be, a real hard thing for Republicans in order to hold on to the kind of coalition that they've had in the past. But I believe they'll be able to do so because Tallarico, come on. 6 genders? Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
come on. This is not something that's going to pass muster. Are you going to go in the valley and try to say what the 6 genders are? It's not going to work.
Yeah, it's and somebody who would say something so unhinged out loud. This was like when you see these nutbags. I made it into a bit, the crazy cat lady of the day on my show. Somebody who is so unhinged that they would say something so obviously to a person with any common sense whatsoever. you wouldn't even say to yourself alone if for fear that someone would hear you say such things and realize you're out of your friggin' mind. And so when you, like for instance, if you're a paramedic and you say you wouldn't treat a Trump supporter, okay, you're going to lose your job. Okay, here's this guy standing on the pulpit saying God is non-binary and there are 6 sexes and children can transgenderize themselves. I got to tell you, there are some things as a Catholic I don't even try to think, because I think maybe my mother's ghost and God are listening to me. I don't even say that stuff. But here he is. I believe there are 6 sexes and God is non-binary and we have a vegan campaign, whatever that means. I mean, really, honestly, it's great. And, I said that 2024 was about a return to common sense from nonsense. The mantra for the 2026 midterms is sanity versus insanity. And James Tallarico is nuts. I mean, just honestly. How the hell what else do you call it? What else do you call it? Benny Johnson the other day had some comments about the Democrat Party, and, a lot of people think just because the Democrat Party, it's just because it's the midterms and the Republicans are in control of Congress and, that we have a Republican president, they're going to somehow win, even though they don't have a platform other than we hate Donald Trump. Everything that Donald Trump does is bad, even though he's brought down prescription prices, shut down the southern border, brought $18 trillion of manufacturing back to our country. I can go on and on, getting rid of DEI and CRT and all of that nonsense. Made to Washington, D.C., the capital Washington, D.C., absolutely gorgeous. Doing the same thing with Memphis, bringing safety there. Brought the murder rate down to levels not seen since the year 1900. And of course, none of the news media are covering any of that with any degree of accuracy. And if they just ignore the good news altogether, they just ignore it altogether. That said, here is Benny Johnson on the midterms and the Democrat Party, the state of the Democrat Party.
If you've been sensing that there's an opt to break apart the MAGA coalition, the America First coalition, and to wreck President Trump's,
which obviously after the defeat of John Cornyn by 30 points. Ken Paxton endorsed by Donald Trump, and now Donald Trump is a 100% success rate. All of the candidates he's endorsed have won.
Winning unified ticket that won him all 7 swing states, the popular vote, and a triumphant landslide victory in 2024. Well, you'd be right, because there is no opposition. The reason why I'm very bullish on Republicans winning for a very long time.
Yeah, and a lot of people are very hesitant to say that they believe Republicans are going to win. It's like, I don't know, you're afraid, that somebody's listening or somehow fate's going to smack you on the head. You can't say that, and they always got to qualify it by saying, well, I know that the whatever party could possibly blah, blah, blah. I don't qualify it. I just say, I believe we are going to fare very well in the midterms because the Democrat Party is insane and unhinged with no platform, and Donald Trump is doing great things. So there's that.
For the next 100 years of MAGA is because
I'm not willing to go there. I'm not willing to say 100 years because there are a lot of crazy people in the world. But I'm looking. I think 2026 and 2028 are looking pretty good.
I can see what the Democrats have to offer. The Democrats are flat broke. The RNC has hundreds of millions of dollars.
It's true.
The DNC has $3 million in debt.
I know, yeah.
The DNC is an absolute and total dumpster fire.
And their bench is, honestly, Gavin Newsom, AOC, Kamala Harris. Okay. Oh, no, Pete Buttigieg. Okay.
Democrats are panicking. Their disapproval ratings are 72%, negative 52 on disapproval.
Yeah, it's not good.
Obviously, I'm sitting here looking at
because they're crazy
things that Republicans could do better.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's critically important to hold your own party accountable.
Sure.
But this is a very bad look. Approval rating among men for the Democrat Party. Disapprove. 78%.
I wonder why that is. Maybe because they call masculinity toxic, I guess. Yeah, there's that.
They have no ideas. They have no champions. They have no unified message.
No, they say that women are too dumb to get an ID after they get divorced. They have to be married so they can have an ID. And then they also say that black people can't get an ID either.
There's nobody that could actually carry a message anyway.
Winning message.
They put up. It's either Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom. They are already embroiled in their own fraudulence. And now the federal government is wrapping up all of the fraud that's been happening in states like Minnesota, New York, and California, and it's going to look nightmarish by the time we get.
Yeah, and then of course Harmy Dillon is cleaning off the voter rolls, and we are gutting the massive voter industrial complex and all the NGOs that got all the billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars from the Democrat Party, which they of course spent and returned to the Democrat Party almost exclusively so they could win elections. And then there's the mail-in voting that's going to get all straightened out, and then no more dead people vote, no more illegals voting, and all that. So the Democrat Party would need a platform if they wanted to get elected, but you see they don't have one because they haven't needed one. That's why they made Kamala Harris the candidate without even bothering to ask the Democrat voter. They just did it because the Democrat Party hasn't had to win elections in a very long time. They haven't had to win elections with issues in a very long time. They've been able to cheat. They've been able to finagle. They've been able to buy. They got a media that carries their water. And so they really haven't had to devote much to, making people's lives better, making the country better, et cetera. They can just go on with "We hate America," and you're going to vote for us anyway. But that's all falling apart. That is all just falling apart. This is Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino, ladies and gentlemen, talking about the only coalition that exists who vote Democrat.
There are only two groups of people who are Democrats now. Only two. There's these super rich Karens who they can be whatever they want because it doesn't really matter, so they can live in the world of ideas. Yeah. And there's, unfortunately, really poor folks who've been given money by the Democrats, taking money from the super rich to pay them off. They've lost the middle class completely. Yeah. So they think if they go out and do the Ruben Gallego and drop a few F-bombs inauthentically, that all of a sudden a bunch of working class coal miners from West Virginia are going to, clamor to vote Democrat again. I don't think it's going to work. I think it's a really...
No, it's not going to work. I mean, look at how the Democrat Party has destroyed its connection to the middle class by bedding down with insanity. Everything from transgender nonsense to DEI to CRT to masculinity is toxic to Latinx instead of Latino and Latina and all of this. That's your Democrat Party. And then, of course, they completely abandoned the middle class when Joe Biden was the president and inflation was 9% one year and grocery prices went up so dramatically and the price of a car doubled and the price of a house doubled. They really did. If you look at it right now, if you look at how the two parties have absolutely switched, the Democrat Party is now the bastion of radicals, of elites, of intellectuals, of academics, and the Republican Party is the party of the working man and woman. There you go. It's kind of crazy how that happened, but the Democrats did that to themselves. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring loan.
spent a lot of time on the race in Texas last night, where Ken Paxton destroyed John Cornyn, ended his career altogether by 30 points. By 30 points, meaning that Donald Trump, every candidate that he has endorsed, 100% won. And if you don't get MAGA, if you don't get it, then you don't get it. People like Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, they don't get it. They don't understand it. You get it. I don't even know how to encapsulate what it is, what MAGA is. But I'll tell you, it's not just about Donald Trump. It is what Donald Trump is doing. And that is what we asked him to do when we voted for him. And we recognize that this has gotten much bigger because the forces of the deep state and evil have worked so hard to put him in jail, to take his fortune, to take him off the ballot, and to kill him. Raiding Mar-a-Lago. We got some news on Mar-a-Lago. Apparently somebody in the Biden Justice Department said, I don't think we should have done that. We didn't have a good reason to do that. It was illegal to do that. And of course it was. Of course it was. It was there to plant some evidence and take down Donald Trump. You had the Russia collusion hoax. I said when it was happening, Russia had no compelling interest to have Donald Trump in office. He was a rhino, or not a rhino. He was a hawk on defense. He was a hawk on the American economy, American energy independence. But Hillary Clinton had already been bought and paid for. Duh. I said that at the beginning of Russia collusion. I said, why in the hell? And then they tried to make it look like, oh, yeah, Donald Trump has a bromance with, what's his name, the head of Russia. But anyway, why am I drawing a blank? I always get Zelensky, I always get him mixed up with anyway. But they tried to make it sound like Donald Trump had a bromance and all of that nonsense. And it was all bullcrap. It was all bullcrap. And so we've been through all of this. As I've told you, MAGA warriors, we are battle-hardened warriors. We've been in the trenches for a decade now. And so when we see John Cornyn getting beat last night, we knew that nobody was leaving Donald Trump. The MAGA coalition wasn't breaking apart. You know why we knew that? Because the liberal media said it was. There you go. Yeah. And plus, we've been through so much. We're not going to give up that easy. I mean, are you kidding me? No, absolutely ridiculous. In Maine, I mean, somebody who's just like insane. Graham Plattner had a SS tattoo on his chest, the same logo that the SS who guarded the internment camps in Germany wore on their chest. He had it there for 20 years. He said some just freaking insane stuff. If you just watch him talk, I mean, he's not. I would not want to be around him alone because he looks like the kind of person who could just snap. I mean, I really mean this. I really mean there's something just not right. Not connective, no sense of humor at all. He has no sense of humor whatsoever. But because he has a D in front of his name, the Democrat Party is completely down with it. Now, what do you think about this? Because I heard Victor Davis Hanson been talking about this. A party in its death throes, at least the 20th century, 21st century model has been that it goes socialist and anti-Semitic. That's when the party goes into its death throes. Both of those things are happening with the Democrat Party. Here is Graham Plattner in Maine delivering an address the other night. Hold on one second. Here it is.
No one is coming to save us. We need one thing, something the man speaking after me has been fighting for 60 years.
Doesn't sound at all ominous, does he? No, he sounds perfectly like the kind of guy you want to vote for because he is just he's got a good spirit, good heart, loves America.
We need a political revolution.
Yeah, we had that in 2024, and it continues, and it's getting bigger.
They took so much.
What exactly did we take? We gave. We shut down the border and brought back manufacturing. We're lowering the price of prescription drugs. I can go on and on.
They began to think that we didn't exist at all.
They and we. We and they.
But they don't know Maine. They don't know the power that we have here, and we are taking...
You just listen to how evil he sounds, my God. I mean, honestly, listen to how evil this guy sounds. Listen how dark this speech is.
Back what is ours, our tax dollars. can build schools and hospitals in America.
Why hasn't it? You've been in charge for a while. You had 4 years when you were in the White House. Every one of the problems that the Democrat Party has been running on the last 70 years has never been fixed.
Instead of bombs to drop on them in Gaza and Iran.
What about the $250 billion spent on Ukraine that's never been itemized?
We can take back the wealth that belongs to us.
What wealth belongs to you other than what you've earned?
That has been stolen by corrupt politicians and the corporations that bought them.
Listen, he's just like seething. Listen to this. This is like a movie villain living in an extinct volcano.
Back the wealth that belongs to us. That has been stolen by corrupt politicians and the corporations that bought them.
The corruption is on the Democrat Party. We're uncovering trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in fraud. They increased the size of the federal government when Joe Biden was president using COVID as an excuse, and by 40%, and then they just raided it and stole it. And the corruption belongs almost exclusively to the Democrat Party. So I don't even know where he's coming. But doesn't he just kind of sound terrifying? Would you want him staying overnight in your house? Would you want him staying overnight in your house? No, I don't think so. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. Wow. That guy is nuts. Doesn't he just sound terrifying? I just, freaky. Hello, Valentina. He's Satan's son. We kind of wonder. Yeah, Pocahontas loves him. She's been kind of quiet lately. Hello, GJ Gary. Thank you, Texas American citizens. Okay, cool. Good to see you. Valentina, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Wild Bill West, who's watching over on the Rumbly Brew? No, that was Rumbly Brew. Let's go to YouTube. Deplorable Dinosaur. Yeah, Jesus himself wasn't a bigot. No, he wasn't. He had fish and bread, and they drank wine. Didn't even have to be keto-friendly. Joseph Vick says, great night last night. It was, really. Yeah, he sounds like Darth Vader. You're right. I need to find some scary music. Hold on. Scary music. Hold on. Let me see if I can find some scary music. The Room. Let me find some. I'm going to find some scary music here real quick. 24 minutes of scary music. Hold on. Gotta listen to this real quick. Nah, I can't do it. I was going to mix some scary music. Try to do a little production here, but I really can't. I'll have to find some scary music. But Platter just sounds caustic and terrifying. I mean, really. Crazy. Sounds crazy. Sounds evil, yeah. Guys, I mean, sometimes the answer is right there. The answer is right there. It's Satan is showing you his colors. I'm not meaning this is just purely religious, but it is good and evil. It is good and evil. And if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, there you go. All right, here we go.
Got about 3.5 here.
No one is coming to save us. We need one thing.
What?
Something the man speaking after me has been fighting for 60 years. We need a political revolution.
He just sounds like a likable person, doesn't he?
Hospitals in America instead of bombs to drop on them in Gaza and Iran. We can take back the wealth that belongs to us.
Wow. I mean, sometimes evil is just right there. You can see it. It's right there. You can say no. He's a real likable type, and he's gonna be. But there's sometimes if walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and all that. My gosh, I mean, God, politicians like to shake hands and to kiss babies. I'm afraid he'd do the opposite. It's like, don't give him your baby. He's gonna shake it. Don't do it. For the first time since World War II. Our national debt has exceeded the GDP of America, which means, of course, that the dollar is worth a whole lot less. Higher inflation, higher prices, higher cost of living started big time with Joe Biden. We saw that. The price of a house doubling, the price of a used car doubling, the price of groceries going up 30%, sometimes even more. Dollar isn't buying as much. So smart retirement planners are preparing for potential setbacks. They can do that by diversifying with time-tested asset known for weathering the storm, physical gold. From my trusted friends at Birch Gold, because they have my money. Text the word Rob to the number 989898. Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on converting an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Don't pull the ripcord. Once you've already hit the ground, don't wait for economic turbulence to diversify. Text Rob to the number 989898. Again, text Rob to 989898. Own some gold from Birch Gold. Here is Graham Plattner sitting next to Bernie Sanders, repeating verbatim the same nonsense that Bernie Sanders has been spewing for decades.
No, I think it's abject nonsense. I think that's what somebody says when they don't want to see their taxes go up. There's absolutely no question that if we target...
He just sounds evil.
...the wealth where it has been hoarded, frankly, for decades at this point, and we pull it back into our system and put it into social programs like healthcare.
Hell, you like the ones, the NGOs, where they're stealing the billions of dollars, and they got leering centers and hospices that don't take care of people.
Like child care, like paying teachers what they are worth. We will absolutely improve the lives of working Americans, and quite frankly...
You never have!
...improve our society as a whole.
You, the guy who likes to pleasure himself in porta potties and is a communist, you're going to make our society better?
It's I think what he is pitching is propaganda. It's meant to protect himself and protect his crony friends, and we're going to come after them for it.
Every word he says sounds like the horror movie trailer announcer, right? It's like, don't go into the basement. You'll get murdered. Vote for me. I mean, wow. That's sheer Democrat Party. Good luck with that. Let's take a break and come back. Hour number 2 of the Rob Carson Show is right ahead. Don't go anywhere.
No blind rhetoric.
No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think. Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax. Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think. They let me decide.
Real news for real people.
to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is the Rob Carson Show, hour number 2 of the show. I'm just doing show prep as we speak here, and of course not muting my phone. There you go. I was talking to somebody over the weekend, and I had mentioned that, I have a hamster on cocaine between my ears. It never stops going. And she goes, yeah, I can tell. I can tell. When do you ever just rest? And generally, no, not really. I did it over the Memorial Day weekend to some degree, but by and large, I'm always going. I've always got something going in the back of my mind and all of that, because life is short. Life is short. But I was doing a little digging over the top of the hour break before I dive into hour number 2 of the radio program. Virginia prosecutors refuse to enforce Spamberger's assault weapons ban, call it unconstitutional. I love this. This crazy cat lady from hell, Abigail Scambergler, who lied about who she was to become the governor of the state, and then immediately started ruling against the will of the people, tried to take away all representation of Republicans in the state. This despite the fact that Virginia was a colony that went to war over taxation without representation. And of course also, they still have a Gadsden flag version of the license plate in the state of Virginia, all right? So she thought she'd come in with this left-wing nonsense that is spewed in counties that have been flooded with liberals from D.C., Fairfax and Loudoun counties, and thought she could just issue an edict to the entire state that we're going to run the state like San Francisco, and they're saying, screw you. So the Supreme Court of the state, through her attempt at gerrymandering Republicans out of representation, threw that out, a major embarrassment. And now a Marine veteran serving as a county prosecutor in Virginia has drawn a line against Abigail Scamberger's newly signed assault weapons ban, sending a formal letter to his local sheriff declaring the law unconstitutional, cannot be lawfully enforced. He is not alone. A second Commonwealth's attorney, an Air Force veteran, has taken the same position. And I have been saying this on social media. You cannot just make what was legal yesterday and guaranteed by the Constitution illegal today. And so you call it gun control legislation. I call it gun suggestion legislation because screw you, I won't comply. There you go. How about that? There you go. That's just it. You cannot just march in because you think you have some sort of a mandate and just decide to, wipe your rear end with the Second Amendment. Ain't gonna work. Plus, I'll bet you the number of assault weapons, AR-15s and whatnot in the state of Virginia. You ain't got enough law enforcement to confiscate all of them. So honestly, take your gun control legislation and stick it. There you go. That's what I have to say. Cold dead hands, baby. Cold dead hands. Especially in Virginia. What an really, really way out over your skis. This woman, this insane, crazy cat lady, with soulless eyes, unlikable individual. She really just shot her wad, man. That's a revolutionary and Civil War expression. It has something to do with the muzzle loading rifles, in case you're a listening hunter. So she's already shot her wad. She is a lame duck. Oh my God, the lamest of ducks. Lamest of ducks. So the CNN and all the liberal journalism outlets were talking about Donald Trump's visit for his annual checkup yesterday, and he's got a bruise on his hand and things like that. But he, is busting his butt every day. Flew over to China, had an incredible, meeting with the Xi Jinping, and then is traveling all over the world. Has a different press conference every day. Has 2-hour-long press conferences, allowing media to do whatever. Doing campaign appearances all over the country. The guy is the ever-ready bunny. I mean, honestly, we've never seen anything like it. I like to say in the morning, I don't wake up. I get shot out of a cannon. I couldn't keep up with Donald Trump. There's no way. There's no way. You look at the campaign in 2024, 3 campaign rallies in a day, while also having to sit in the courtroom for a political persecution. and keep going and keep going and keep going. But of course, the left, they want to make it look like Donald Trump is really aging and he's really this and he's really that, and it's all a bunch of crap. This is Wolf Blitzer.
This is CNN Breaking News.
And we begin this hour with the breaking news. President Trump is over at Walter Reed, the National Military Hospital right here, and he's getting ready for his annual medical. And
Donald Trump is 20 years my senior, and I want to be as sharp as this guy with this kind of energy at his age, because it is remarkable.
Dental checkups. This will be the third visit of his second term in a span of just 13 months.
The president turns 80 in just a few weeks, and his health is coming under increased scrutiny.
Why didn't you worry when Joe Biden was the president and was showing the obvious signs of dementia?
Swollen ankles have prompted repeated questions from independent physicians.
I got to tell you, the thing about aging, for those of you who are a little bit younger, maybe you millennials and Gen Z, here's the difference about when you're getting a little bit older, is that you realize those little things that suddenly start happening to your body are permanent. It's, that knee, when you get up and it makes that sound, it's going to be that way for the rest of your life.
And so have the president's frequently bruised hands. Sometimes those bruises are covered.
Yeah, when you shake 1,000 hands a day, for God's sake, it kind of happens.
With makeup.
You're looking at pictures from moments ago of President Biden arriving at Walter Reed Hospital for his annual physical. Now, this is routine.
Yeah,
it would be
it's routine
medical and dental checkups. We should note that he's been to his dentist twice already this year. They haven't said whether he will take a cognitive test. They also haven't said whether he'll go under any anesthesia for something like a colonoscopy, which would, of course...
it is remarkable, the double standards, as my friend Chris Plant likes to say, but word for double standards. Liberals would have no standards at all. Donald Trump said yesterday, just finished my 6-month physical at Walter Reed Military Medical Center. Everything checked out perfectly. Thank you for the great doctors and staff. And then, of course, over on CNN, they say things like, there's this guy who wrote this piece, Kevin Liptak. Liptak's report discussed how even a clean bill of health may not allay public concerns about Trump's health. I'm not worried about his health. Are you? Are you worried about Trump's health? The only thing I'm worried about is some jackass actually succeeds in trying to kill him. All right, that's the only concern I have, because I think the guy is in incredible shape mentally and physically. I mean, he said, like 224 pounds. Hell, I'm 6'1", and I weigh 240. I lift weights, thank you. But still, here is some more of this lip tech. Yet even though Trump is a louder and more visible presence than Biden during his presidency, he still travels less than he did during his first term and has on multiple occasions closed his eyes for long stretches during on-camera events. If you had his schedule, are you kidding me? Unbelievable. Meanwhile, here is the media when Joe Biden was the president. Now, you may recall, I don't know if you knew this, Joe Biden displayed all of the symptoms of cognitive decline. And you know why I know that? Because I'm not stupid. There you go, yeah. And because I'd also seen it in aging relatives growing up. My mother would invite them to live with us. They would, in their final years, and I would watch this decline and so frequently dementia and even worse. And so I'm quite familiar with it, and there's no turning it back, by the way. But here is the media.
If you're concerned about Joe Biden's age, you probably don't know Joe Biden.
It's not just making an issue of Biden's age. It's lying. It's saying he's senile. It's saying he's demented. Saying he's out of it.
Biden is actually in good shape.
Right. Mentally, he's quite acute.
Any aide who...
What would give you that impression, by the way, as he fell up the short stairs and couldn't put together a thought? And then, of course, the debate happened.
Who engages with him or reporters. We can see this. The gears of his mind are working.
The right-wing media has so fixated on Biden and Biden purportedly having cognitive issues.
Russian television has been filled with speculation about President Biden's...
Okay, I think I need to find a little soundbite here to kind of put it in perspective. Let me see here. Here it is. Yeah, here's some proof.
Both are making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if
we're not stupid,
we finally beat Medicare. We're finally providing housing for Black Americans. The impact on the choice, the idea that they're gonna, I've been proposing that everybody, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I would not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president.
He was the president of the United States. And Jake Tapper said that he knew nothing of Joe Biden's dementia until after Joe Biden was pulled from the presidential race, replaced by Kamala Harris. And then, of course, Jake Tapper wrote a book about it.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
It's very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
It makes me uncomfortable.
You have no. I can't. That's so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
and try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
President Biden embraces his stutter, talking about it.
It's a stutter.
While Trump mocks.
That wasn't a stutter. I don't think that was a stutter.
It exaggerates.
Porky Pig had a stutter.
It belittles it. He's sharp physically. Yeah. I mean, mentally. Yeah. I think the question is physically, right?
Right.
More so?
Right.
And the guy who's his chief opponent is only 3 or 4 years younger than him.
Exactly.
I mean,
I'm just amazed he still has a job. Biden sues the DOJ to stop the release of the audio and transcripts tied to a special counsel probe. Joe Biden sued the Justice Department on Tuesday in an effort to block the release of audio recordings and transcripts of the former president's interview with a ghostwriter that were obtained by the special counsel who investigated his handling of classified documents and decided not to prosecute Joe Biden for the mishandling of classified documents because he would have been a sympathetic jury, would have felt so sorry for him because of his cognitive decline. At issue is the case of audio recordings and transcripts of Biden's interviews at his home in 2016 and 17 with Mark Zwanitzer, who worked with Biden on his 2 memoirs. The files were scrutinized by special counsel Robert Hur as part of his investigation into the president's improper retention of classified documents. So he's either sharp as a tack and guilty of mishandling classified documents, or he's guilty of having classified documents and wouldn't be prosecuted because the jury feels so sorry because his brain is pudding. So there you go. But Donald Trump has a bruise on his hand, and that should disqualify him. It's so glorious. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing.
But in most places on earth, they believe that your rights come from your government and from your laws.
Yeah.
But ours was founded on the belief that your rights come from your Creator and from God.
Yeah. Here's a little refresher course on the president that preceded Donald Trump.
I've taken 3 significant and intense neurological exams by the
and they were not able to find anything. I mean, literally nothing between his ears.
By a
just pudding.
Neurologist. In each case, as recent as February. And they say I'm in good shape.
I don't think that there is a huge cover-up underway here, and I frankly don't think that matters.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented.
Yeah, this is why one of the many reasons why the Democrat Party is not going to win in the midterms. I think we need to bring back one of our popular songs from when Joe Biden was the president.
I'm afraid that poor Joe Biden, his faculties are sliding. Yes, it's a sad refrain.
This is Jim Gossett.
On the edge, watch him teeter. He would be a better leader if he only had a brain. That non-existent hand he's shaking, and all the gaffes Joe's making, his supporters can't explain.
But Donald Trump's got a bruise on his hand.
When he speaks, it's a gamble. I bet he wouldn't ramble if he only had a brain.
He closed his eyes during a meeting.
Oh, I can't tell you why Joe Biden somehow got elected.
Well, I think we
Just hope November 8th. He and his kind will be rejected.
And they were.
Joe Biden, he's so dense, he doesn't have the sense to come in from the rain.
No, he would drown if he looks up at the sky.
He's worse than Jimmy Carter, but I bet he'd be much smarter if he only had a brain.
There you go. That's Jim Gossett. Jim Gossett, ladies and gentlemen, he's brilliant. Brilliant. I worked with Paul Shanklin with the Rush Limbaugh program for many years. Nothing against Paul, but Jim Gossett is prolific and amazing. And if you want to help him out, go to patreon.com, Jim Gossett comment. I mean that, really. It is difficult to get work as a conservative performer. During the Biden administration, he lost a lot of speaking gigs and comedy gigs, and he's friggin' brilliant. So patreon.com, Jim Gossett Comedy. Massive fraud. I mentioned that we're going to find out that the United States is more corrupt than the Soviet Union, the former Soviet Union, ever dreamed of being, except for we have $7 trillion to spend. And man, was I right. This is Keith Sutherling. He is the acting director of the Department of Labor, talking about what the Democrat Party did during COVID, increasing the size of the federal budget by 40% and then looting the Treasury.
So during the pandemic, we saw around $900 billion go out to really help Americans that had lost their jobs.
Sure.
Related to the pandemic. But looking back, out of that $900 billion,
never let a good crisis go to waste.
Over $135 billion of that was stolen.
I'll bet it was more than that.
Fraud. Taken from the American people, taken from the tax people, and it was done through sophisticated criminal rings.
$135,000 million of our tax money.
And it was also done just by people who were completely taking advantage of the systems, because we rely on the states to do a lot of the identification and verification checks. And what we saw was fraud was rampant. The money was just going out the door. Nobody was checking. Yeah. And we're tired in this administration.
They looted our treasury. They just looted it. Just walked in, took it all, like in, what was it, the second Die Hard movie? Bringing the dump trucks in and the little front end loaders, little bobcats, loading the gold bars into those dump trucks, covering them up, and then heading out toward towards the underwater aquifer bridge. That's the way it was. Stephen Miller was talking with J.D. Vance yesterday at a presser about the fraud task force that J.D. Vance is in charge of, and he says that the fraud is much worse than we ever imagined.
This is the fastest in history that a government task force has traveled from creation.
This is why the Democrat Party created the Elon Musk is a Nazi nonsense over a year ago, burning Tesla dealerships, saying that he was somehow a Nazi. And when he was no longer in charge of Doge, suddenly he's not a Nazi anymore. Generally, when you're a Nazi, kind of like Graham Plattner.
Into action. Your typical lead time is going to be a year of meetings before anything happens. And that's if you're lucky. And within weeks of this task force being established, we've seen the largest ever slate of indictments, recovered funds, search warrants, raids, seizures, investigations, and new legal actions to stop, disrupt, and prevent fraud. What we've learned, which is not surprising to those of us who've spent some time in this area, is that fraud is every bit as bad as President Trump said it was, and even worse.
Hence the protests.
So in other words, everything we found either confirms our worst fears or exceeds them.
Yeah. Here he is talking about why this happened.
All of the systems in our country, whether you're talking about voting, whether you're talking about entitlements, whether you're talking about welfare, benefits, were set up based on the honor system. They're set up based on the idea that...
Which means that people who are dishonorable can take advantage of it.
You could trust the average person through their own morality to abide by the rules and comply with the law. And so the way most welfare works in most states and most places is you fill out a piece of paper and you say, your kids are hungry, you are going to get food stamps. We don't.
Or if you say you're a legal citizen and you can vote, yeah, sure, go for it.
Check as a country if you even have kids.
Yeah, you see, you can't have a system based on honor when one of the political parties is completely dishonorable.
And so what's happened to our country is we became a society, as we've seen with the Somali refugee problem in Minnesota, where you have a large number of people that are not following the honor system. They're not playing by the rules. They're not abiding by our laws. And the amount that has been fleeced from us is in the hundreds of billions of dollars. I believe, based on what I've seen and what I've heard, is that we could balance the federal budget if the only dollars that went out of the Treasury went to individuals who were properly, lawfully, correctly eligible.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, we're $38 trillion in debt, and a good share of that is because people stole it, and we have to pay for it. Let's take a break and come back. Fred Fleitz joins us next. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. I am sleeping better than I've ever slept in my entire life. I used to think a mattress was just furniture, but I got a Ghost Bed. Ghost Bed doesn't build mattresses like furniture. They build engineered sleep systems. Their beds are serious health equipment. Beds designed for relief and recovery, not looks. Your body should be healing while you sleep, not fighting for comfort. I noticed immediately. My first night on a Ghost Bed, I slept for 10 hours. If you're waking up stiff, tossing and turning, sleeping hot, even reaching for a pain reliever before bed, hoping tonight will be different, that's not aging. That's your mattress talking. Here's another thing I love about Ghost Bed. You get 101 nights to try it at home. If you don't like the difference, just send it back risk-free. Ghost Bed is currently having their Memorial Day sale plus an extra 10% off for my audience. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson and use promo code Carson. Ghostbed.com/Carson. Promo code Carson for the sleep of a lifetime.
question is not, do we want Iran to be defeated? Yeah, everybody wants Iran to be defeated. The question is, do we approve of how Trump is conducting this war? And that is what I think.
It's 7 presidents too late. Every president that preceded him since 1979 has failed to do something very essential, which is take on the mullahs in Iran and stop them from being able to protect.
Yeah, that is Abby Phillips, of course, with an intellectually lazy argument, saying that I don't have a problem with taking out the Ayatollahs and taking down the Iranian regime. I just don't like how Donald Trump is doing it. Donald Trump has had the most decisive action against the Iranian regime ever since the Ayatollah took over. It is so just more intellectually bankrupt to say such thing. It's really just, it's lazy is what it is. Joining us on the Newsmax hotline to discuss these things and so much more, Fred Fleitz. He is a senior fellow at the American First Policy Institute, also the author of a brand new book, North Korea, Nuclear Brinksmanship and the Oval Office. Fred Fleitz, how are you doing today?
Hey, good to be here, Rob. Pretty good.
Hey, man, I'm kind of jacked about this book here. We'll get to it, but it looks like I get a nice endorsement from Gordon Chang about this. Every American president from George Bush onward mishandled the Kim regime, which of course made the Kim regime kind of the same kind of garbage that happened with the Ayatollah in Iran.
Well, I mean, we need to talk about this because North Korea now has 50 nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
And that's what Trump wants to avoid with Iran, not to wait till it's too late.
100%. And this is easily, I won't say easily, but we're on the brink of that. And unfortunately, we have a Democrat Party that is so hostile that on day one, the first day when we killed the Ayatollah, you had a senator named Chris Murphy saying that it was the operation was a disaster, and a Democrat Party and liberal media that is openly cheering for our defeat.
Well, Trump put this really well yesterday in a Truth Social. He said if there was full military surrender by Iran, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, CNN would call that a masterful and brilliant victory by Iran over the United States.
Yeah.
And he's right.
Yeah.
They're hopeless.
It was bad when after 9/11 and George W. Bush sent our troops into Iraq, and you had people like Dick Durbin, who Rush Limbaugh called Dick Turban, saying that the war was lost, and that took months. That took months. It's like Democrats with school shootings. It used to take days before they'd start screaming for gun control. Now they do it before they've recovered the bodies. The same goes with our military actions under Donald Trump. They immediately disparage the efforts of our troop and literally root for our allies to win. Our foes to win.
So, I mean, what Trump's trying to do, and I think he tried to do at the cabinet meeting today, is basically get the word out. This is a defeated state. Mm-hmm. This isn't like the Obama appeasement of Iran. Their military has been destroyed. Their capability of making missiles, their nuclear program has really been set back. They may have big mouths in their PR department in Iran, and we have to stop being fooled by them. We have to stop listening to them. This is not a nation in a position to negotiate. You're not
in a position to demand anything. That's one of the things I like to say when you've got like college students demanding that the university they go to divest in Israel. You're not in a position to demand anything. Sit your ass down and shut up. You've got the supreme leader, the cardboard gay Ayatollah, not been seen in public, but he's declaring that death to America and death to Israel would become the rallying cries of the Muslim world, while vowing that the Jewish state was nearing the final stages of its existence. That is not a regime that is negotiating for peace in good faith. Dear God.
It's right. It's why this war began, and they're also threatening to expand the war worldwide. They're already at war with us worldwide. This is a country that's been trying to assassinate Donald Trump for at least 8 years.
Yeah, I want you to hear General Jack Keane last night talking about doing a deal with the people in charge of Iran now.
The Iranians, we know for a fact, don't abide by treaties. They've been a party to the Non-Proliferation Treaty for years. They're signatories to it, and that means, you don't acquire a nuclear weapon. What have they been doing for the same amount of time that they've signed that treaty, is trying to acquire a nuclear weapon. So they blew that treaty off. So what we come up with here, the Trump administration, and our negotiators are aware of this, have to make certain that whatever the Iranians are going to say, we have to make certain that that is actually what is happening. Not what's on a piece of paper, but what actually is happening.
I don't think there's any negotiating with them. I think we've got to wipe out the IRCG. That's all there is to it. We can't leave a single hanger on, and we've got to replace that. That regime has got to be replaced with freedom-loving people and a more secular government. What do you think?
Yeah, but there's no way to do that unless we invade the country.
What about
Trump wants to end the war, and we've won the war. Mm-hmm. We stop hostilities. We free the state of Hormuz. We begin negotiations of the nuclear program. You know, if we don't do that, we're going to lose the Senate in November. Trump's achieved what he wanted to do. It's an imperfect solution. Eventually, I believe the people of Iran will take over the country. But Jack Keane wants to keep the war going. He wants to expand it. I don't agree.
You don't agree that despite these, you've got right now you've got supposedly active peace deal going, death to America, death to Israel, the shaken Zionist regime and the cancerous tumor of Israel are approaching the final stages of their wretched existence. You're saying that we can leave a seed of that after we negotiate some sort of peace deal.
We have to stop hostilities and free the Strait of Hormuz, understanding that the remnants of this regime is going to be around to the Iranian people overthrow it. And the only way we can overthrow it is with ground troops, which we're not going to do. Trump achieved his objectives, and I think it's time to get out. The American people want this war over. And I think that this is, frankly, a problem we're going to have to monitor and deal with. We need a mow-in-the-grass strategy. Mm-hmm. When they threaten nearby states, when they start building nuclear sites, we attack again. Okay. But in the meantime, this war has to end. The American people don't want this continuing one day further.
Well, I understand the war fatigue argument. We've been warned about that forever. It didn't seem to matter with previous administrations. I know you're concerned about the midterms. I don't think the president is so concerned about the midterms. He has realized that Iran is a threat, and he's going after them anyway. But what about, Israeli intelligence has been involved here. Who's going to be in charge of Iran? How are we going to deal with people who still are espousing this nonsense? Are we going to give them the money that we have, their frozen assets? Because you know what they're going to do with it. They're going to build up their forces again. They're going to send money to their terrorist proxies once again, and we're back to square one, Fred.
We may have to release some sanctions to get them to stop the war. I'm afraid. I don't want to see them getting payments from the United States or plane loads of cash like Obama did. But I think we're going to have to find a way to wrap this up. We can't continue the war indefinitely. If we can find a way to secure the Strait of Hormuz and stop attacks on neighboring states, that's a starting point. We then have to stand with the Iranian people, support their efforts to take this government down.
Yeah. Fred Fleitz, I want to continue the conversation on the other side of the break and include Donald Trump telling other Arab states to join the Abraham Accords to really put the hammer down on Iran, which I think was a pretty genius move. So I want to continue with that. Also talk a little bit about your new book. Again, it is called North Korea Nuclear Brinkmanship and the Oval Office. Fred Fleitz. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show.
99 FM in Harford County.
New this hour, Iran's state TV is putting out what it claims is a draft of the initial framework with the U.S. Now, there are a number of points in here that appear to be very out of step with a lot of the U.S. red lines. So take this information with a very large grain of salt. But Iran is claiming that the Memorandum of Understanding would have the U.S. withdraw forces and lift the naval blockade in exchange for Iran restoring commercial traffic through the Strait of Hormuz within a month, with all ship traffic managed by Iran. They further claim if a deal is reached, it would become binding with a UN Security Council resolution. We have heard no updates from the U.S.
They also asked the United States to acknowledge that unicorns are real, and they want the letter S removed from the English language. That's the kind of stuff that they're dreaming about. It doesn't sound like Iran. I think that Fred Fleitz, that their hubris, their pride in their hubris, is getting in the way of the ability to make a deal with them.
They're shameless liars. None of that is true.
I know.
But CNN reported it as it was, as if it is.
Of course
so did the New York Times.
I know.
And Iran knows this. They're deliberately creating confusion. They think they can hurt Trump politically by floating these ideas. Maybe that'll pressure him to settle. Maybe it'll cause him trouble. But it just goes to show how difficult it is to negotiate with this group. And as you sort of alluded to earlier, we don't really know who's running the country.
No.
I'd like to see a proof of life of the supreme leader, assuming he's actually alive or conscious.
I think what they'll do is they'll do a puppet show instead of a press conference. Rather than the cardboard Ayatollah, they'll just do a puppet. They'll do the sock puppet show featuring. It's just, I mean, here, Fred, I just have a feeling we're going to have to end up dropping some bombs on them. I do too. That's the way it's going to be, bro. I mean, we could go with this. This is just mental masturbation. This back and forth. This, we'll meet next week. We'll talk this week. We'll do this. They're playing us. They think they're playing us. And I don't think Donald Trump is going to be played forever. I'm actually quite surprised at his patience to this point, allowing a 7-week ceasefire while they're doing this nonsense to us.
I think there may have to be some pretty significant military action, and Trump will then dictate the terms of a settlement. He's not going to negotiate with what's left of this regime and let them play these games. Basically, this is it, guys, or we will attack you yet again.
Yeah, and they're hurting financially right now. The blockade is still going on. And then Donald Trump decided as a part of this to include other Arab states in a kind of an Abraham Accord to keep their the hammer down on Iran. So basically getting other Arab states involved to help out Israel, to help out the United States. And what did you think of that move?
I thought it was a brilliant move, and it recognizes the reality that Arab states now realize that Iran is a dedicated enemy that had pre-positioned missiles and drones to attack them. It was always going to attack them.
Yeah.
And they have no choice but to form a new alliance to defend themselves. They can't look the other way anymore, try to appease Iran. Iran is not interested in being appeased. It wants to have its way through violence. The best way to deal with that is to have an alliance with Israel.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Like I said, I have a feeling they're going to have to do the power plants and bridges, get them to the table, and then I'm hoping, and this is not easy, for some sort of almost like a millennial peace that the Middle East hasn't seen in a while, and if anything, it would be at least a united Middle East against Iran and its terror proxies and neutering what it's done for the last 47 years worldwide. Now, you got this book, and you've written a number of books. This one is called North Korea, Nuclear Brinksmanship in the Oval Office. What motivated you to cover this at this time in our history, other than, I guess, what you mentioned earlier, which was we can't let Iran become North Korea?
Well, I've been working on this for over 12 years, so it predates this administration. Wow. I wrote a lot of it during the pandemic, and it reflects my working on arms control, nuclear nonproliferation for the CIA and the State Department, and I just saw Republican, Democratic administrations repeatedly make the same mistakes about the Iranian and North Korean nuclear programs. They would appease them. They wouldn't realize how serious they are. The deep state would undermine Republican presidents. Career diplomats wouldn't follow their instructions. The same mistakes over and over again. And while that happened, both nuclear programs soared. So this book, and it looks at the North Korean nuclear program from Eisenhower through the end of the Biden administration, is going to be very helpful to try to set the record straight. I'm hoping to get this into university libraries. And I have a second edition coming out in December on Iran's nuclear program that goes through April 2026.
North Korea is a very unique cult of personality where society has been groomed to believe almost that the people in power are religious figures. When Kim Jong-un died, or was it Kim Jong-il? I always forget which one is which. But died, the mourning, the self-flagellation, all of this. The people are completely controlled from birth till death to worship the great leaders. So it's quite a different situation than we've dealt with. Probably actually closer to Iran than the Soviet Union.
No, that's exactly right. It makes them harder to deal with. But of all the presidents who dealt with North Korea, Trump, I think, was the most successful. His policy wasn't completely successful. But you may remember 2017, 2018, we were looking at a possible war with North Korea. North Korea tested a nuclear device in September 2017 with a yield of 250 kilotons. That's 10 times more than Nagasaki and Hiroshima bombs, bigger than anything Pakistan or India exploded, and scared the hell out of the Chinese.
And then Donald Trump went and met him at the I'm trying to remember the name of the line of demarcation.
Singapore.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and he met them there, and we'd never seen anything like this. And it was the velvet glove covering the iron fist, right? That's what Donald Trump did. Velvet glove covering the iron fist. The book is called North Korea Nuclear Brinksmanship, the Oval Office. I would assume there's something in there about Madeleine Albright and a basketball signed by Michael Jordan.
There's a picture of Madeleine Albright clinking champagne glasses with Kim Il-sung a long time ago, and you can read about this on my personal website, fleitz.com, where I have a lot of the reviews.
Hey, Fred, I really appreciate your expertise on all these things. Best of luck with the book, and thanks for finding the time for us today.
My pleasure. Thanks.
All right, let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. All right, kids, how are you? What am I going to talk about next? I gave him a nice ad for his books. Listen, it's not easy to sell a book, so I want to help him out. He's nice enough to, he always does Freebo appearances for us, so let me find something I'm going to talk about next. Oh, yeah, Mark Wayne Mullen. See if we got time for this. Hi, Vicki Stevens. How you doing, Vicki? How's things? Somebody had a birthday today, and there was ice cream cake and regular cake. And you know what? I can't resist, and now I just feel terrible. I had a piece of ice cream cake and a piece of regular cake, and I feel like crap now. What the hell was I thinking? Just give me some willpower. It's like free pizza at work. There's no resisting free pizza. There's no resisting free pizza. Joseph Hicks, hello, great night last night. Okay, well, that's earlier. Let's scroll down here to Gary 7. Melania looks so awesome and beautiful. Yeah, she's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. When she hung the Presidential Medal of Freedom around Russia's neck, and you know why that happened. It was going to happen, but I believe that was right before Rush mentioned that he was terminal. And they wanted to make sure that he was alive when he got that medal. So, let's look over here on the Rumbly-Roo. Rumbly-Roo. Man, you guys are busy talking over there today. Sunny and 73 where, Pat? We're finally going to see some sun here for the first time in 4 days, hopefully by tomorrow. All right. I got to talk here. Hold on. Karen Bass. Yeah, this is good. We'll do that. All right. Karen Bass inadvertently wrote an ad for Spencer Pratt for mayor of L.A., and she pointed out what 20 years of Democrat rule has done for the state, and 50 years of Democrat rule has done for the city.
Well, the L.A. that I grew up in, first of all, was a lot cleaner. There were not people sleeping on our streets. The city was actually affordable. You could rent an apartment, work part-time, and go to school. So it was a lot different. And I am so hopeful, though, because our city has grown to be such an international city, and I love that. Everybody in the world lives here, and our city is much more diverse.
Not just diverse. America's diverse. It's been diverse for a very long time. You didn't usher in any diversity because we've always been a great American melting pot, so please.
Than it was before. Many more people, but unfortunately, the city isn't affordable now.
Yeah, because you made it into a crap hole.
Now, and we do have people sleeping on our streets,
yeah,
which is exactly why I ran for mayor, because
you haven't fixed a damn thing.
Know how our city
and you let the city burn down
can be, and we're going to get there again.
Yeah, we're going to do it eventually. I mean, we've been promising this for decades, but by God, this time we're going to do it. Oh, bullcrap. Honestly, so done with your nonsense. And here's Javier Becerra. He was, HHS secretary under Joe Biden and presided over the COVID disaster and cover-up. And here he is espousing as a gubernatorial candidate, and he will never be the governor of the state of California. He's not going to do it. Neither will Katie, Mrs. Potato Head. Never going to be the governor of the state of California. But anyway, here he is espousing free health care for illegals.
If you're working hard, I want you to have health care. I guess Steve Hilton doesn't care if they work really hard. He looks at their status, and that's about it. Well, he says
if you're illegal, you can't have free health care and stuff, you see, because you can use your, whatever country you came from health care.
They broke the law. He says that he immigrated here legally, and that spending money to give somebody health care is incentivizing bad behavior.
Yeah, because it has, actually. It brought in hundreds of thousands of people from the meth lab trailer park of the world, Somalia.
He doesn't seem to mind that the price of food is a little lower because these are the folks who are picking the crops.
Yeah, because you know what? You can't be somebody coming across the southern border unless you got a leaf blower strapped to your back and your name is Consuela and you're a daycare operator or whatever, or a maid. Or maybe they're come here to live the American dream and not just serve you.
He doesn't seem to mind that the places that you can buy to live in are places that these folks built. He doesn't seem to mind that they're the folks that are taking care of probably one of his relatives, probably taking care of his yards. He seems to mind that they don't have documents, but he doesn't seem to mind that they do so much of the work in California.
Wow, I got to tell you, this is the soft bigotry of the Democrat Party. The soft bigotry of the Democrat Party. Move here and to serfdom and serve us in our gated communities. That's the American dream. We'll give you free health care. Yep, let's take a break and come back. Hour number 3 of the Rob Carson Show is right ahead. Don't go anywhere.
most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is the Rob Carson Show, hour number 3 of the show. Joining us at the bottom of the hour, one of my favorite guests, Justine Murray, media personality, does some really, really good commentary videos, Gen Zer, and I mean, an old soul just with, I guess, insights and humor that takes years to develop, and she's great. So she'll join us at the bottom of the hour to talk. She works for MRC Video, by the way. I want to do a little reset. A lot of times we forget that in radio, you get a new audience every whatever minutes. Not so much with this show, because the average time spent watching the stream. Are you ready for it? The average time spent watching the stream of this show is an hour and 39 minutes. Network television would there would be an involuntary release of bodily fluids if they could get an hour and 39 minutes. Every single day. But I like to kind of, come back to some things we talked about earlier. Obviously, the big news last night was, Ken Paxton just beating the snot out of John Cornyn. John Cornyn, another rhino hunting season underway. And Donald Trump is now 100% on all of the picks that he has endorsed. They've all won.
Races and Senate races. This is his scorecard, okay?
Yeah.
He has endorsed 8 governors.
Bill Hemmer.
Now, some of these races weren't real close, didn't have a lot of competition, but some of them did. I mean, we saw what happened in Louisiana, the primary of Bill Cassidy. We saw what happened a week ago tonight with Tom Massey in Kentucky. And now we're seeing it again tonight, in Texas. Governor level, Trump endorsed 8.
30 points.
He won 8 times. U.S. House, 101 endorsed. He won... 101 endorsed in the House, and he won 101. Let me put on the pencil.
Endorsed 101, 101. Okay, I'm getting a headache.
So right here and show you this. U.S. Senate, Sean, he has endorsed 8 candidates.
Yes, 8.
And prior to tonight, he had won 8 times. Yeah. And now you can take the endorsement from 8 to 9.
There you go. That is pretty amazing, and that's unheard of. And there are people who are weak-minded. They're weak-minded intellectuals. I know it sounds kind of strange you could say that, but Tucker Carlson, he's a weak-minded intellectual, and I guess to some degree Megyn Kelly, a weak-minded intellectual, saying that MAGA is we're losing the independents, and MAGA is starting to break up and all. No, that's just wishful thinking. That's just wishful thinking. It's not going anywhere. Ken Paxton spent about 3 seconds, accepting the victory and mentioning John Cornyn, because who cares? And he immediately went after his new foe.
My opponent is the most extreme radical the Democrats have ever nominated. He's even running a vegan campaign, whatever that is.
We're talking about James Tallarico, the Democrat choice for candidate for Senate in Texas. And, he makes Jasmine Crockett look reasonable and intelligent.
He goes by a few names that you may all have heard of. Some people know him as Tofu Tallarico.
Yeah,
some people call him Six-Gender Jimmy.
Yeah. He believes there are 6 genders. That would be enough to disqualify anybody from anything. Just believing that there are 6 genders and saying it out loud.
I've even heard some people call him James Tallarico. And others refer to him simply as Low T Tallarico.
Low T, majorly low T. I mean, like majorly low T. And now they've already got the ads coming out. And these are some of the... This is going to be so much fun. I want you to listen to that. This ad is obviously an attack ad on the opposing candidate. But they do it with humor. They do it by pointing out the obvious nutbaggery, that's a word, of James Tallarico.
The Democrats have a weird candidate.
Yeah.
God is non-binary.
Oh boy.
There are many more than 2 biological sexes. In fact, there are 6. It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption. The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us. Prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness, my own masculinity. Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front. No need to sit and cry over, your whiteness or your masculinity. They're going to call me a radical leftist.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children.
The Democrats have a weird candidate.
Low T Tallarico, too weak for Texas. Lone Star Liberty PAC is responsible for the content
That's a
of
good
this
one.
ad.
You know, sometimes the ads write themselves, as they like to say.
God is non-binary. Our trans community needs abortion care too. There are many more than 2 biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
He is nutty. He is nutty as can be. James Tallarico. He's a bozo and a lefty. A threat to democracy, a major psycho.
Jim Gossett.
Tallarico.
Freako.
He beat Jasmine Crockett, but he's just as radical, much like Mamdani.
Mamdani.
He is a commie.
A commie.
Must nominate Ken Paxton and tell John Cornyn that it's time to go.
Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.
The state of Texas should reject James Tallarico.
He's a vegan.
He is loco.
Which gender is he?
Says there's 6 sexes. God's non-binary, that is no joko.
Yeah,
Tallarico wants abortions. For transgender men, he is a sicko. Tallarico, what a wacko.
That is the glorious Jim Gossett. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, up in Maine, they got a guy named Graham Plattner who is a despicable, foul, dark human being. I mean, a really dark human being. He's had a Nazi SS tattoo on his chest for 20 years. He's disparaged Purple Heart recipients, said they deserve to get shot, and without just shooting his mouth off, says he pleasures himself in public bathrooms. That's kind of you probably want to keep yourself between you and your priest or whatever on that one, because just never say anything about it. But he chose to do that because he's. So I found this speech he gave in Maine this week, and I want you to listen to this, and I mean this. Sometimes evil presents itself right there, and you can make a judgment whether you choose to believe it's not evil or to go, oh yeah, all of the signs are there. Okay, and I played some of this speech earlier, and I noticed just the voice and his delivery and tone and how ungodly dark. I've never heard something, unless you look at the speech that Joe Biden did in front of Independence Hall, where he called us MAGA fascists and enemies of democracy. But this takes it to a new level. This is like Darth Vader doing a speech. And I asked my producer, Ken, Redneck MacGyver, by the way, Redneck MacGyver, my new bike that I got, you can make that thing go 60 miles an hour by taking the governor off of it. So he's probably going to order one right now. Because I call him Redneck MacGyver because I got an electric EV, well, not an EV, but one of those hybrid bikes, with the electric motor on it. A couple of years ago, and he figured out how to turn the governor off, make it going 45 miles an hour. And he said the only thing he hated about that is the cigar ashes from his cigar get in his face when he's driving that fast. That's why I call him Redneck MacGyver. But anyway, here's what Ken did. I told him to mix some music with this Graham Plattner speech to kind of give you an example of what I'm saying.
No one is coming to save us. We need one thing. Something the man speaking after me has been fighting for 60 years. We need a political revolution. They took so much, they began to think that we didn't exist at all. But they don't know Maine.
What the hell?
They don't know the power that we have here, and we are taking back.
Doesn't it just sound like Satan just standing there on a precipice, and the crowd down in the flames, hooting and howling? Doesn't it kind of sound like that? I mean, listen to this.
But they don't know Maine. They don't know the power that we have here, and we are taking back what is ours. Our tax dollars can build schools and hospitals in America instead of bombs to drop on them in Gaza and Iran. We can take back the wealth that belongs to us. That has been stolen by corrupt politicians and the corporations that bought them.
May contain incidents of violence. Rated R. My God! That's even worse than I thought it was. When you add some music, it adds some context, doesn't it? There's nothing hopeful about that guy. He just threw in a thing about building hospitals. And you're supposed to go, oh, okay, Satan, it's cool. You're going to build some hospitals. That's great. Everything else you said was, really dark and awful. And just the pitch of your voice and the tone of your voice is without any humor whatsoever. And the Nazi tattoo. And, this is not, wow. Ken, that was, I knew it was going to be good, but I had no idea it was going to be that. Wow. If I lived in Maine, I would, the last thing I would do was vote for that guy. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. What the hell?
not want voter ID, only somebody that wants to cheat.
I got to hear this again. This is Graham Plattner's speech in Maine, and no sense of humor, just pure unadulterated darkness, and it's terrifying.
No one is coming to save us. We need one thing, something the man speaking after me has been fighting for 60 years. We need a political revolution.
That is just frightening. Kind of reminds me of Emperor Palpatine.
A year ago, we ended corruption. We silenced the chaos of war. Today, we celebrate order.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do a little quick comparison.
They took so much, they began to think that we didn't exist at all.
Okay, let's compare it again to Emperor Palpatine here.
The Empire has brought peace, prosperity, and unity to the galaxy.
Yeah, it's pretty darn close, actually.
But they don't know Maine.
The crowd shrieking in agony.
Through strength we have prevailed. Through loyalty we endure.
I think I hit the nail on the head there, didn't I? Yes, sir, I did. That's better than I even thought. Oh my God. All right, what are we talking about next? Oh, Memorial Day, the Democrat Party. They spent celebrating George Floyd and attacking an ICE, what is it? Joe Scarborough calls it a internment camp. It's not. No, we just arrested a bunch of illegal criminals, and we've got them in custody now until we boot their asses out of the country. But, of course, the Democrat Party, on Memorial Day, they memorialized George Floyd, a drug addict career criminal who died of a drug overdose. And then also they went and they attacked ICE agents at a facility where these criminals are being held. Here is Mark Wayne Mullen, DHS secretary, talking about that and the fact that Andy Kim, a Democrat in Congress, got pepper sprayed, and I'm glad he did.
But why Memorial Day? Why would they choose Memorial Day? And that was my complaint, because I was talking to him all day yesterday because, Andy Kim, Senator Andy Kim called me and said he wanted access to the facility because they were claimed that there was hunger strikes, but there is not hunger strikes going on. I said, Andy, give me a little bit. Let me get somebody in there for you. And we ended up allowing him to have access to it. We said, you can't go in there with your staff and film and cause a big show. And then you had the governor, Cheryl, jumped in.
What they wanted was someone to get killed or injured. That's what they want. They want another, Renee Good. So they could say, they murdered it. No, they didn't. No. Actually, she tried to run over an officer and she got shot. She wanted to play with the big boys and she got shot. Then there's that other jackweed who, had kicked out the light on an ICE vehicle and attacked ICE officers before. It just happened to have a gun on him that was revealed in a struggle with officers, which generally means you're not going to live through it. So there you go. But that's what they want. They want another one of those.
Then you had the other representative.
They want a summer of 2020.
It is, and Senator Cory Booker that was posting, and it's like it was all for show. And at the same time, they're trying to tell me they were trying to de-escalate the situation.
No, they weren't.
When you had Antifa flags flying out there at the same time, Sean.
Yeah.
We called for assistance for the police because they were barricading the roads and they were trying to get through the gates. Not one time did the police respond, not a single time.
Because the Democrat Party uses casualties as ammunition. They want to ignite the country in the summer of 2020. Duh. Here he is talking about how, if these sanctuary cities want to attack ICE agents and not protect them, then how about we just stop processing international flights into their airports?
If they're going to not allow us to go out and arrest the worst of the worst, and then when we call for assistance at the facilities, that the street, it belongs to the city. If it belonged to us, we would take care of it, but it belongs to the city, and they're barricading our employees from coming in and out of the facility. Then why are we processing international flights into the airport there? And we are currently, which we're not initiating yet, but we're currently drawing up plans to say, listen, in these sanctuary cities where the local radical left Democrats aren't allowing us to do our job and enforce federal laws, then we shouldn't be processing international flights into their cities either, because they don't want us to enforce immigration, but they want us to process immigration at their facilities.
Hell yeah, do what you got to do, man. Do what you got to do. Here's Tom Homan talking about these detention facilities that Joe Scarborough called internment camps. Joe Scarborough, you are just you're a human turd. Honestly, you are just the worst human being ever. You and your inflatable wife.
What a disgrace to this nation. The day we're supposed to honor those who gave all, and they're there disrespecting and attacking those men and women of ICE who strap a gun to their hip every day, go out and protect people they don't even know or never will meet. This is disgraceful, the first part of it. And second of all,
they call them Nazis, they call them all sorts of things, and it's ridiculous. They are people, they are Americans who have a job to do. They're doing what they're asked to do, and you got the Democrat Party calling Americans Nazis. Done with it.
Look, their message, they have no message. I'll say it again. Go to ICE.gov and look at ICE's detention standards. The highest detention standards in the industry.
Yeah.
Better than any state prison, county jail, or federal lockup. Highest detention standards in industry. Deaths in custody, they're talking about people being mistreated. Deaths in custody in ICE is a fraction of any state prison or federal facility.
There you go. But they're doing hunger strikes. They're doing hunger strikes because they raped and murdered and they got arrested and they're illegals, they're going to get deported. But they're doing hunger strikes because they want to be released.
Look, I've done this since 1984. Hunger strikes never work. We're not going to change what we do because someone goes on a hunger strike.
Yeah, so what?
As a matter of fact, if it gets bad enough and the physicians feel like they're putting themselves...
I went on one of those. I had a Zempic.
...in extreme danger, medical danger, then we'll force feed them. We'll get a court order and force feed them. Hunger strikes do not work. So they can put themselves in a position where they're not eating, but it's not going to cause them to be released.
Nope.
We are going to continue to arrest people.
Yay.
We'll continue to detain people.
Yay.
As far as complaining about ICE contract facilities, well, guess what? We're building our own warehouse facilities. We will have federally owned detention facilities by the thousands of beds.
Yeah.
So look for the future. And I've said from day one, we need to own more of these facilities, and we operate them on federal land, and then that way we're not dealing with all this crap from the local politicians and the state and the governors, because this is a federal facility on federal land. That's the direction we need to go to, and that's the direction we're heading.
This is what we voted for, by the way, so there you go. And you can't keep your illegal aliens that you can give them all sorts of government largesse, get them on the voter rolls, fill up your census data as people flee your Democrat-run states because you've done such a sucky job running them and making them into third world hellholes so you can stay in power. It's not going to work. This is not a way to stay in power. People don't want to be ruled. People want to live in an orderly society, in a free society where you can live the American dream, not the hellhole that you want to make America into, and you have done successfully with places like New York and California and Los Angeles and San Francisco and St. Louis and Chicago, and Let's take a break and come back. Justine Murray, MRC Video, joins us next. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. I am sleeping better than I've ever slept in my entire life. I used to think a mattress was just furniture, but I got a Ghost Bed. Ghost Bed doesn't build mattresses like furniture. They build engineered sleep systems. Their beds are serious health equipment. Beds designed for relief and recovery, not looks. Your body should be healing while you sleep, not fighting for comfort. I noticed immediately. My first night on a Ghost Bed, I slept for 10 hours. If you're waking up stiff, tossing and turning, sleeping hot, even reaching for a pain reliever before bed, hoping tonight will be different, that's not aging. That's your mattress talking. Here's another thing I love about Ghost Bed. You get 101 nights to try it at home. If you don't like the difference, just send it back risk-free. Ghost Bed is currently having their Memorial Day sale plus an extra 10% off for my audience. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson and use promo code Carson. Ghostbed.com/Carson. Promo code Carson for the sleep of a lifetime.
Deported. 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 Get him out. Ready? Are you ready? Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get the hell out of here. Deported. 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 Get him out. Ready? Are you ready? Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get the hell out of here.
So Tulsi Gabbard just left her job as the National Intelligence Director after learning that her husband has a rare, deadly form of bone cancer, which means the media obviously wasn't going to let even 5 minutes go by without rewriting the entire story and deciding the White House forced her out. Wait a minute. Oh, will you look at that? By the time I finished this video, they changed the headline right under our noses. No apology and no name to the anonymous source saying she was forced out.
That is Justine Murray, one of my favorite people on social media, does brilliant videos for MRC Video. She joins us on the Newsmax hotline. Hello, Justine. How are you?
I'm good. It's always good to speak with you.
There's so much to talk about. You know, I'm trying to digest this Tulsi Gabbard story. I think she's doing a great job. But I heard like Steve Bannon the other day say, she was forced out. Donald Trump fired her. I'm like, really, dude? Really? I mean, I respect Bannon, but I don't on this point. I thought she was doing an outstanding job as Director of National Intelligence. I don't know.
Yeah, it's so sad, and I would say disgusting that the media and also like the Steve Bannon, Thomas Massey types, they're looking at this to stir up drama, to stir up divide within the Republican Party, to turn people against one another, to try to make this an anti-Trump thing. When she announced that her husband was diagnosed with cancer, and whether they're genuinely suspicious of that or not, which is, by the way, kind of gross. It's like the same thing they're doing to Erica Kirk, pretending it was staged, that Charlie was assassinated.
Oh, dear God.
It's just like their attempts to trample on Charlie Kirk's graves for their own political motives, and like they couldn't even give Tulsi Gabbard like 5 minutes before they started going on the offense. And this is the legacy media and, of course, some of the so-called new media outlets that, if you just take away their names, they're preaching the same garbage.
You're exactly right. You know, I was watching last night, Donald Trump, 101 races that he has endorsed, 101 victories, 9 Senate seats, 9 Senate candidates. He's batting 1,000. Everybody he's endorsed has won. And yet you've got Megyn Kelly saying that the MAGA coalition is falling apart. What the hell? Does she do that for clicks? Because she cannot be that clueless.
I can't trust someone who had previously joined NBC to have a bunch of biologically male children who claimed they were female. She was the one who supported, at one point, gender surgeries for minors.
Yeah.
So she's used to kind of flip-flopping and grifting on, depending on, wherever the wind blows.
Yeah.
And it seems like it seems like, she doesn't have a legacy TV platform anymore. So she's on her podcast trying to stay relevant. It's
odd, and Tucker Carlson is the same way, and I think it's because they are effete, they are elite, they are not grounded. And I believe that, and one of the expressions I use with regard to being a MAGA supporter is, if you don't get it, you don't get it. We would never leave, not just Donald Trump, but the MAGA platform for making America great again, gutting the deep state of all the corruption, etc. If you don't get it, then you will do things like leave Donald Trump over, whatever, and leave the MAGA movement or whatever, or cast aspersions on it. Because they don't get it.
And we've seen this time and again. Some people don't get it, but a lot of people, they're selfish, and they put their own reputation and their careers or their attempts at staying relevant first. It's just like in 2020, when everyone seemed to turn against President Trump. Of course, you had rhinos, and you had people who claimed to have supported President Trump all along, and some of them who worked in the Trump administration and the first administration, who of course were always turncoats. And those are always the perfect times when you find out who your real friends are. They'll love to hang on to President Trump's what do they call coat strings? Coattails.
Coattails,
I had a little Biden blunder there. But they love to hang on to them until, of course, it's inconvenient for them.
Or if there is a possibility that it's going in the direction they want it to go in, and it changed direction. They were able to jump off ship and then realize the ship wasn't sinking. And then there's this Tallarico guy. It took 2 seconds for Pat Paxton to move from, whatever concession he gave to John Cornyn to going after Tallarico. And I'm going to tell you, this guy, this should be easy pickings. The media says he's somehow ahead in Texas. I don't see how that's possible, because he's left of center even in San Francisco.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's people right now on X are trying to figure out whether he's more of a woman or a female character than Beto O'Rourke.
Oh yeah,
who's more of a beta?
Oh yeah,
Beta or Tallarico?
Oh, he's much more. He's much worse than Beto O'Rourke. Beto O'Rourke is a soy boy, no doubt it. But James Tallarico is a vegan who believes that God is non-binary. He loves transgendered children. I mean, I can go on and on. The ads write themselves. Here, let me play a little bit of this. This is one of the opposition ads here, real quick. Let me see if I can play this for you. If I can find it real quick here. Yeah, here is the new ad. I'll play just a little bit of this, Justine. And you've heard the expression. Sometimes they write themselves. Listen.
The Democrats have a weird candidate.
God is non-binary. There are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are 6. It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption. The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us. Prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness, my own masculinity.
Oh, God, he's much worse. I mean, Beto O'Rourke is a lumberjack compared to this guy.
I think anyone is.
I swear to God. Everything he just said there. What you have to be insane to say that out loud, let alone expect the people after you've said that out loud are going to elect you in Texas.
My favorite part was, I believe, like someone on his staff posted a photo of him. He, as a vegan, was eating, it looked like a chicken leg. I actually don't, it was probably like a tofu leg.
Yeah.
And he was at the stage, we were supposed to believe it was like a Texas backyard barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was his little picture that he posted. Look at me, I'm a true Texan. And it just reminded me of Chuck Schumer flipping the burger.
Yeah, I love the vegans who they will do like they will take vegan material, whatever it's made out of, could be made out of people, I don't know, and then they form it into the shape of meat, like a chicken leg or something. I don't go to a steakhouse and ask you to carve the meat in the shape of a carrot. Don't do that to me, vegans. Honestly, be true to yourself. That said, let's move on to Hassan Piker. He's in a whole lot of trouble, and he is also apparently looks like he's exposed Neville Singham as the financier of a lot of this anti-American protest, which I call sedition, and I think they're both in a lot of trouble.
Oh yeah, notice how he was so quick to throw Singham under the bus. It turns out, so this guy donated at least $300 million to these pro-CCP PACs. And Hassan here, he's the guy who the New York Times giggled along in a podcast as he was talking about hunting down and killing and eating the rich and how murder is okay. Yeah. He always talks about how we need to eat the billionaires, murder the rich. Meanwhile, they hate the rich unless it's the rich who are funding them, who are funding their communist activities. Hassan Piker has like an $8 million net worth at least. So, it's always the champagne comrades. But here he is now complaining. You must have seen his recent YouTube podcast where he's going on and he's whining that he's being subpoenaed. Oh, this is against freedom of speech. Well, you can't provide material aid to a terrorist organization or a foreign entity. Yep. And, of course, it's Piker and the left. They were the ones who created cancel culture, who loved the political prosecutions for people who expressed wrong speech, and now they're calling this speech when it's actually their actions. This is the guy who he said that he supports. He aligns with Hezbollah. He aligns with the Houthis.
He said that October 7th, he said it was fine for October 7th to have happened. He said that we deserve 9/11. We got to break and come back with Justine Murray. I got a little bit more on this and some other things. Let's take a break. This is the Rob Carson Show.
680 WCVM.
I want to go to Cuba. Would you be down?
I fucking love Cuba.
Oh yeah, you'd be down?
Yeah, I filmed a documentary there once.
You'd be down? Yeah, those are adult men, I guess, right?
Cuban government actually hit my contact from the embassy and told him that if the only thing stopping us from coming to Cuba was the consistent internet access, we can make it happen.
Yeah, Cuba is sick.
Wait,
the government reached out to you.
So,
oh God, I swear to God, men who extend their adolescence into adulthood. These guys are probably in their early 30s, talking like freaking 14-year-olds, and then giving up the ghost that Cuba got in touch with us. They want to use us to spread propaganda in America. They're in a lot of trouble, Hassan Piker. They're in a whole lot of trouble. Justine Murray talking about this. He has not only has Hassan Piker mentioned Neville Singham, but also it looks like Code Pink is being investigated. These organizations, we're going to find out, they are trying to overthrow the U.S. government, and Hassan Piker is a little pawn, and he is part of a seditious conspiracy. He is in a buttload of trouble. He's going to spend some time in prison. What do you think?
Yeah, and he certainly does speak like a teenager who never and probably never will grow up. He speaks like a former fat kid in a prep school, which he was, by the way. Communism is sick, guys. Socialism is sick.
Oh my God, Kim is so dope.
Oh my God, like the gulags are awesome. He speaks like he speaks more like a Valley girl than my Valley girl friend.
I swear.
Like, I would call him a Jap if he didn't hate Jews, but he's more of a Jap than I am.
That's not possible.
He's like a Jap for jihad. But I love how he's being followed around by, I like to call these old ladies the seniors for Sharia. Yeah. And anyone who's been around Capitol Hill long enough will see these yammering old ladies wearing all pink, decked out. Like
Code Pink.
Yep, that's Code Pink.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how they were never investigated apparently until now.
Yeah.
This is the group that in 2009 actually went to Gaza. They were hosted in a hotel owned by Hamas. Yeah. They met with a Hamas leader. And then I believe in 2012, they actually met with an Al-Qaeda financier. Oh, yeah. And they took a picture with a guy who was part of Al-Qaeda. And suddenly we're shocked. The people who, of course, you and I were political nerds, so we've been following this for a very long time. But normal, everyday Americans, because the media covers for crazy ladies, that Code Pink, normal people haven't realized, this has been going on for a really long time.
But our Justice Department is going to be up their rear ends. I mean, this is getting real serious because this is crossing into seditious conspiracy involving foreign governments, including the Chinese Communist Party and the Cuban Communist Party. This is going to get real big and real ugly. And Hassan Piker, he's this mouthy little keyboard warrior who talks smack, but he's not just talking smack. He has encouraged sedition, and he's going to be in a buttload of trouble.
Yeah. Good.
I hope so.
Good.
I hope he goes to jail.
Yeah.
Hope he goes to jail.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to mention. So we got this Giants quarterback who just decides to, Jackson Dart, introduce Donald Trump at a rally, and every harpy from hell, including the Viewcast, are saying that he's somehow racist because he had the honor of introducing the President of the United States. This is going to blow up in their faces. What do you think?
This is time and again Trump derangement syndrome. It's just like their attempts to paint that star who is running in California. He is running for mayor, and they want to paint everyone as a right-wing fascist or an evil fascist. God forbid, because you're guilty by association. They don't represent, they're still out of touch with the American public, but it's going to turn people away, just like it already has. Why do we think President Trump has gotten elected twice. Or maybe more than twice, but that's the conversation for a different day. Why do we think that happened? Well, it's because everyday Americans are so sick of being lectured and scolded at by the ninnies on The View, told that they're racist and bigots because people like the candidate in California, he had his house burnt down.
Yeah, ridiculous. Listen, I appreciate you being on, Justine. Did you see that cage they're building in front of the White House for the big MMA fight on June 14th?
Ooh, well, I'll have to go check that out.
Oh, I'm doing my best to get there. If I have to serve drinks, I'm going to be there. It's going to be amazing.
You and me both.
So, Justine Murray, tell everybody where they can find your glorious work.
Certainly. You can check us out at MRC Video on X, or I'll do a self-plug. You can search me at Justine_BROOKE on X.
You are absolutely the best. Take care of yourself. We'll talk again soon. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show. That girl is phenomenal. She is just funny. She's good. She knows her stuff. It's phenomenal. All right, Pat Carr, how are you? We had a troll I had to get rid of earlier. Where was that? Was that on X? No, it wasn't on X. Was it on Facebook? Just somebody being mouthy, being a smartass. They always come in and they use a name like Patriot, whatever, and then they start shooting crap about Trump. I think it was over on. I think it was on YouTube, but I blocked him. Yeah, American Patriot 6. And said a bunch of stupid crap, said that MAGA voters are afraid of us Americans, and then just that person descended into stupid. And so I blocked him, so, or her, or it, or they, or them, or whatever the hell you are. Don't have time for the nonsense. Don't come here unless you want to exchange ideas in good faith. And if you just want to throw rocks, screw you. Let's see. Hey, Pat Carr. Valentina Wild Bill West. Trying to read what you're talking about. My mouse won't stop. No. Yeah, they were talking about fat vegans earlier. A lot of times vegans are fat because they have to replace their diets with just odd, saturated nonsense. Remember when they had that almost meat stuff that came out, the fake meat that tasted just like sausage? You find out it's 1,000 times worse for you than eating real meat. Just crazy. Mary Glow, hello. Scott Davies, how you doing? Gary 7, love your room, Rob. Love your friends in the room. Love you, Duckman. Everybody stay safe. Yeah, you too. You're in the heart of Texas. Love it. I gotta talk. Dig in.
There is this tech tycoon named Neville Roy Singham living in China who has pumped $285 million into nonprofits, including one of the nonprofits that Hassan Piker accompanied called Code Pink. And the big question on that front is whether these nonprofits are acting as agents of malign foreign influence. Those are three words that I hope everyone will learn, because that is what you see on the streets of America then, when you see these protests that talk about fascism. And, Ro Khanna just talked about the Epstein class. Well, that is the propaganda language of that network. And that's that little, this
is all the violence of the left. It's all bought and paid for. It's an attempt to overthrow our country. That's what it's all about. The people in charge of these organizations and this little punk Hassan Piker, you're going to have to spend some time in jail there, Junior, because you've bedded down with the communist Cubans to attempt to overthrow our government. You're in a whole lot of trouble, keyboard warrior, soy boy. You are in a whole lot of trouble. And I'm praying for the day that Neville Singham is extradited to the United States to face treason and sedition charges. And you know what happens with that. You know what happens after that. Yeah, that's what happens. This is finally happening. They're going after these people who have been doing this to our country. Summer 2020, bought and paid for by George Soros. All of these organizations. It's all been a massive psyop to terrorize, to destroy our country. That's it. By the way, for the first time since World War II, our national debt has exceeded GDP. This is why our money is not worth as much. Higher prices, higher inflation, higher cost of living means more interest on the national debt. Every dollar Washington spends on interest is a dollar that has to tax, borrow, or print. Smart retirement planners realize that you need to diversify. Physical gold is a great way to do it, by the way. Text the word Rob to the number 9898 for 989898, I should say, for Birch Gold. They're going to send you free info on converting an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. The dollar is shrinking in value. Gold has been increasing gigantically for years in value. You don't pull the ripcord on your parachute once you've already hit the ground. Don't wait for economic turbulence to diversify. Text ROB to 989898. Again, ROB to 989898. Own some gold from Birch Gold. The time is coming for George Soros and Neville Singham and organizations like Code Pink. They tried to overthrow our government. These bought and paid for protests are going to come to a screeching halt, and people are going to go to jail for a very long time. Because they have to. Because they have to. They failed. They tried and they failed and they burned and they damaged and all of that. We're not going to take it anymore. God bless you. America's founded our president, our military, and until tomorrow, which is already Thursday, don't catch the stupid. I love you guys. See ya.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.